Have you recently seen a shift in men and in masculinity? You know, the modern world has stopped men from pursuing women and their desires. And the modern world is completely killing men's dating life. And, men are thinking they're going to go into this monk mode and wait for the perfect opportunity and the perfect conditions to approach a woman or start dating a woman. And you can see the dynamics between male and female shifting. Back in the day, men would take action and men would get results. And you see a shift right now in masculinity in the modern world. And so today I'm going to talk to you about how that shift in masculinity is changing the modern world. I'm Matthew Manning, men's dating coach. Welcome to the Great Men Are Built channel, where I help shy, introverted men in their 30s get into a long-term relationship. Now, before I go into this video, I was born in the 90s, so I've seen some changes across the landscape from, when I was in high school and the movies I used to watch and the culture I grew up on relative to where it is today and what's being programmed into young boys. So today I'm going to break down the shift in masculinity and how it's affecting us and how it's affecting young men around the world. So number one is the modern media and the modern world has become sexually passive. So men are no longer pursuing women. Men are in a lot of like passivity. They're not really taking action. They're not pursuing women like they used to. And the challenge is media reinforces this. You can see this in the narratives in the culture right now is media is reinforcing this. So if you haven't had a chance, I'd encourage you to go watch the show Reacher. You can see the main character in Reacher has hidden issues. Here's the reason why. So the main character in Reacher, if you go see it, he never makes sexual progressions on any of the characters. If you go throughout the season, what you can see is the main character is passive, yet you can see it's kind of strange, right? Like, cause so he basically plays like the modern day superhero, and you can see how he takes action when he's getting in fights and when there's crime scenes and all these types of stuff. But when it comes to pursuing women, he doesn't take any action. And you can see that the women actually pursue him in the show. Now, the challenge with that is that's not the narrative in real life. That's not man to woman dynamics in the modern world where women progress. But what happens is it's putting fantasies in little uh, guys' minds. What's happening is it puts fantasies that, if I'm passive, if I just don't take any action, women will pursue me. But the challenge with that is that's just not the case. That's not how it works, right? So what's happening is it's programming our culture right now. It's programming the modern world that a woman should initiate. Now, that's just not, if we go back in the day, that's not how it worked, right? Men will initiate women. And if you talk to women, women much prefer that. But what's happening is we're seeing a swing in culture, rightfully so, right? We're evolved for a reason, but we're seeing a pendulum swing within the modern world where women are actually 56% more graduating from universities and these types of things. Their income is increasing, which is fantastic. They're getting on par. But what's happening with that empowerment, it's causing passivity in young boys and young men and in men in general. And I see this with a lot of clients I work with. And so what's happening in a show like Reacher is it's condoning for women to initiate. And in the show, you see this guy. This guy's like a chiseled jaw, stacked out. He's tall, and yet he's not initiating. He doesn't initiate. All the women in that show initiate on him. So that's kind of the shift that's happened right now in culture. Is that we can see that men have become more passive. So sexually specifically. So this is number one. Number two, past versus present male dating behavior. Okay, so number one is what used to happen when I grew up on James Bond. Okay, remembering James Bond, who always got the women, He was like, he's actually a pretty good archetype. You notice how he's not, he's not the richest, right? He doesn't have a fleet of cars, but he always has like nice cars. He's always good with his mind. He's always well dressed. You notice too the character, the archetype. He doesn't really talk that much. He doesn't say. But one thing you can see, I remember in the scene Casino, I think it was Casino Royale, where James Bond goes and approaches one of the women, and she says, "Oh yeah, she's the money," and he gets rejected. But what happened back then was men used to get rejected confidently, and it used to be okay to get rejected. And you see this on the movies we used to grow up on, but relative to what culture's programming us right now. The other thing, in the early 2000s, I used to watch Superbad. I don't know if you know the movie Superbad. If you haven't, I'd definitely go watch it. That's a good one. But what the current narrative back then was is that men pursued their desires. It was okay for men to pursue their desires. So in Superbad, one of the main characters there, part of what he's trying to do is pursue the girl he likes before he goes off to college. And that was okay to go after your desires. That was okay in culture back then to pursue your desires and have a desire. And you look at this in the other movie. Another one I grew up on was Girl Next Door, and how one of the main characters goes after and pursues his desire versus the jock, right? And so you can see this, but you can also see back then too that you know culture programs us to think like, oh, you have to be the nice guy, right? Like the nerdy guy gets the girl, which is good. That has a narrative to it. But at the same time, what they would do is they'd pursue their desire, which is very important. And so what happened back then is we at least were okay sexually to pursue our desires with women. But now you see that it's like the way technology is developing, the way that social media is, and the way that we currently are in our culture, is what's happening is we're emotionally numbing ourselves, right? So you see this with young guys and young boys playing video games and constantly being on their phone and not actually going out into the world and interacting. So this is a big challenge right now because we're facing this emotional numbing in society. And so, number three, what I want you to consider is I want you to consider breaking free from this dating paralysis. So, one of the main shifts we need to make is we need to get over the fear of rejection. This idea of being fearful of rejection, it's completely destroying opportunities. And so we want to have it where we're reframing rejection and how we see rejection. Rejection is really just pre-selection. So most of the time when I talk to my clients, 75% of the time it's not you. 75% of the time when you're talking to a woman, it's not you. She could have had a bad day. Okay, I don't know if you know this about women, but even if they have put on the wrong shoes, it can make their day not feel very good. Like they can be pretty upset with just putting on the wrong shoes. So I teach men 75% of the time it's not you. So now you're going up in the odds. And by the way, when she's not feeling you, it doesn't mean that she's rejecting your whole self. It's not totally who you are. It's just there's not a compatibility, which is totally okay. So we want to reframe how we see rejection. And what we want to consider is this idea of where men want to go into monk mode, right? They want to go into monk mode. And what really monk mode is you repressing your desire. And I tried this, by the way. I did this semen retention thing. I've done it twice. And I've gone into isolation or uh, celibacy. And I think that there's a time and space for it, specifically if you're not got your life sorted out, right? It could be very helpful. I was like, I don't even have my life sorted out. I'm not going to bring a woman into this. Like I'm already so chaotic as it is. So one of the things, the illusion though, what happens is men go into monk mode, and what they're really doing is they're suppressing their desire. They're suppressing their desire that they actually want to be with a woman. So we don't want to repress that. We don't want to like push that down. And what we can do is we can pursue our authentic desire. But we have to understand that pursuing your authentic desire has risks to it, and that's okay. That's part of it. Going out on the edge, going past your comfort zone, talking to that woman that you're attracted to, and not being apologetic for it. You don't have to apologize for being attracted to a woman that you find is attractive. Like, there's no need to apologize for that. So what we want to do is we want to break out of this dating paralysis, and it's very, very important. So I want you to take an action step, okay? What you're going to do is, I call it the risk ladder. And what we need to do is we need to build social momentum. It's important to build social momentum. And so what I want you to do is I want you to do the risk ladder. So here's what we're going to do. I want you to start off by smiling at a woman. Okay? You're going to start off by smiling at a woman. And then what you're going to do from there, once you build momentum, you smiled at a woman, you feel a bit more comfortable, then what you're going to do is you're going to practice this eye contact thing, okay? And you can do this with women or with whoever you want. You don't have to do this with just women. You're going to go, and when you walk out on the street or when you go out in the mall, I want you to start looking at people in the eye, okay? Start practicing looking at people in the eye. It's not like you're going to do some like crazy stare. It's just like a kind look into the eye, and look at people in the eye and wait for them to break eye contact first, okay? Let them break eye contact with you rather you break eye contact with them. What this is going to do is going to help you with steady eye contact. Steady eye contact is very, very important. Then from there, once you build that momentum up, what I want you to do is I want you to engage the cash register at the grocery store, or some sort of when you're exchanging, maybe when you go to the movies, you talk to the person, whoever it is. I want you to engage in them. And then the final step, after you've done that and you keep going out past your edge, I want you to talk to the woman that you're attracted to. I want you to go up to her and approach her. And I want you to start talking to her. I want you to start engaging the woman that you're attracted to. This is very important, that we don't lose this ability to talk to women. And if you're having a challenge with that and you find that like, oh my God, this is way too much, I can't just do this right now. Well, click the link below. Let's jump on a call. Let's see if you're fit for some coaching. I help men with this all the time. There's progressions, there's things at the deeper level, also what's going on, why you might not be able to take social risks, which is totally okay. And let's jump on a call, let's have a chat, let's see from there. Let me know in the comments below, what do you feel about the modern world? What's your thoughts about the modern world? Do you see shifts in masculinity? Do you see things that are changing? And why is this actually affecting us and where we are today? I'd love to hear from you. And with that being said, take care and have a wonderful rest of your day.